Hello everyone, this is Joust of Propati, and today in this video I'm going to be showing my game Quick Joust. It's a card game. It can be played two versions, either one player solo or you can play two players, player against player. And for this part of the video I'm going to be covering the Solitaire version of it. The game comes with two boards. There's a solitary side version, and then on the other side you have your two-player version, opponent against opponent. But for this one I'm going to cover the setup, components, and then I'm going to do a playthrough so we can see how the game plays. So again, this is my game Quick Joust, the card game. It is a jousting style game. This is jousting with knights and horses and lance. And the game itself, it's a point-based game. You have multiple players you can play against when you're playing two-player, up to six-player, because there's 6 different knight cards that you can play. And this one is just you against the AI knight, which is represented by the orange player. You are the blue player. You'll see that you have a blue shaded area on this side, a little bit of an orange tint to this side. So basically everything that's happening on this side of the board is based on what the AI opponent or AI knight's doing, and then this side are your options. And the way the game plays, normally when it's a two-player game, everybody has cards and you're playing cards against each other. Well, obviously with an AI opponent, you can't really play the cards. So what I've done is I've produced die rolls that randomly generate the cards that would be played as if a card was being played or an opponent was playing a card. Also, there are common sense moves that a player would make initially, and then it would work back from there. So there's intuitive moves that the AI will do, and then also has to resort down to card moves. So, and I'll show you that as we go further into the game. But right now, let's just talk about the setup. So we have the game board. Go ahead and place that in front of you. You have your cards, and you're going to be using the blue player cards for you. And again, everything for the AI side will be used as represented through dice. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this out. Next, we'll place the broken lance and unhorsed tokens, and you have 3 for you. These are the unbroken or broken lance, and then we have the unhorsing. So we'll leave these off to the side over here, and these are the spaces for the broken lance, and this is the one for the unhorsing. This side, the opponent AI knight also has 3 unhorsing, or 3 unbroken, or excuse me, 3 broken lance and 1 of the unhorsing. And then we'll go ahead and we'll set up our lance tip tokens, these which will track where your lance tip is going to be going and where it will hit at the final stages of the joust or the run. And we have our 2 dice. You'll have a white and a black D6. You can use any sides. These are the 12mm. Just set those off to the side. There will be a red and a blue and an orange 10mm cube. The blue will track your run, and then the orange will track the AI. That also goes for these orange cubes. These will keep track of the AI player's cards that would have been drawn, so you know that they can't be drawn again once you've taken the certain amount of cards out of play. So we'll leave those there. These again would be played on the AI side. We have 5 black cubes. These are used for when you determine unhorsing, depending on where your lance tip hits. And then the AI player also has 5 black cubes. And then we'll have the cards. So initially we have, these are hard pull lance cards, And there's 6 of these. You go ahead and put these in front of you. So these are a one-time use each time you do a run through the list. And then we have our fine pull cards, and these are grouped over here. You'll have your fine pull left, which you'll have 4 of those. Put those over here. Your fine pull right, again 4 of these, and I've shuffled them up already, but you'll want to shuffle each one of these groups up. So we have our fine pull up and our 3 fine pull down. So there's 4 in the left, 4 cards, 4 on the right, 3 cards in the up, and 3 cards in the down. So you shuffle those all up, place them in their designated spaces. And then last but not least, these are the shield cards, the list shield cards. So we'll go ahead, and you'll only be using 5 cards for each run through the list. So for every one, you're going to reshuffle these. And we'll go ahead and do that now. And there's a designated spot on the board, and you'll see that it looks very similar to the back side of the card. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set these off to the side because they'll be used on the next run. And then here is your space. It says it kind of looks like it's in the Joust. So this is your run, and this would be called the list. So this is you set up for the solitary play. You have your side, the AI player side, your cards, and then cubes and die rolls that represent the knights, the AI knights move. Okay, so next we'll go into an explanation of how things work. Alright, so we're all set up, we're ready to play. So let's talk a little bit about the cards and the components. With Quick Joust, you are jousting against the opponent, and that run, as you are coming towards each other, it will consist of 5 shield cards, shield location cards. These shield location cards, they determine, when a card is turned over, they determine which way the shield is moving based on the horse traveling, moving around, the knight moving around. So when you turn over one of the shield cards, it lets you know that this is how the shield is moved. So you're tracking, because you are running towards that opponent, your lance is starting to come down, and you're trying to track that center of the shield. So as your mind's eye is pointed to the center of the shield's moving. So your tip is moving and you're trying to correct. So every one of these cards is basically you watching the shield move and you trying to adjust back your lance tip to the center of the shield. And you do that based on the card you have. Now you have 2 sets of cards. You have hard pull cards and fine pull cards. And the way these are used is hard pull cards will adjust your lance tip to the max. That's 3 hexes. And you'll notice on these shields, it's a hex grid that you're moving on. So as your lance tip moves around, you are based on this hex grid movement. So when a shield moves and that sight varies and then you correct, that's what will happen, is your lance tip will move off because the shield adjusted. You're moving your tip back up to the center, if you can. And you'll use your cards as the opponent against the AI knight to correct your lance tip. So the hard pull cards are 3 hexes. The fine pull cards are 1 hex. Therefore, as you're getting closer to do a little bit more fine movement with the lance, you're zeroing in. So we have 5 basically phases that you're going to go through as you're getting closer and closer to your opponent. Your lance tip is trying to zero in on the center of the shield as that shield is moving and as the horse is moving, as the knight is moving, and you're making those corrections. You're going to be making hard corrections in the beginning and then more fine corrections as you get closer right before contact. And contact determines whether you get a point, because there's a point system, 1 point for hitting the shield, your lance hitting somewhere in the shield. 3 points if you can hit and break a lance. Lances are only broken when you hit the yellow part. And a possible unhorsing if you can get in this center red hex. So 1 point for just hitting and hitting the shield. 3 points for breaking a lance, which would gain you one of these. And a possible unhorsing when you hit the red hex. Now every joust is 3 runs. So you're trying to score points or get the most broken lances, or if possible, unhorsing your opponent. Now an unhorsing is 10 points. So the 3 sets of points are 1 for hitting the shield, 3 for breaking a lance, obviously hitting the shield, and 10 for unhorsing your opponent. But if you unhorse your opponent, you immediately win that joust. So if you can go through the 3 runs and get the most points, then you'll win that joust. And that's what you're trying to do. We're going to go through 1 run, see if we broke a lance, see how many points we gained, see if we unhorsed. If neither opponent did that, we're going to go through another run. Same thing, try and score points, break a lance or unhorse, and then that 3rd run is where you're going to gain your points. Again, you have a chance to unbreak, broken. And if you get 3 broken lances, and the other guy doesn't, that will win the match for you, or win the joust. So you have these possibilities of either getting an instant win by an unhorsing, or winning with 3 broken lances. And if neither one gets 3 broken lances, then it's just a matter of who got the most points for that joust. Ties will be determined based on if there's the same amount of points, it will be who got the most broken lances, that way. So the dice, since you are always using cards, you won't be using dice. The only time that you'll use a dice is at the end of the unhorsing, and I'll explain that. But for the opponent, the AI Knight uses dice rolls to determine what cards they would have drawn. Same thing with dice rolls to see where their shield is adjusting. So while you're flipping a card and adjusting the shield, you're going to roll for the AI to see how his shield was adjusted. And you will place cubes on what is rolled, because once you have so many, these are thought of as cards that are removed just like these, and you only have a limited supply that you can play. That also goes for hard pull cards or fine pull. When you roll one, you put a token or a cube on it, that card's not available anymore. So same with the fine pull. If you did 2 of these, then you don't have the ability to do a right and a down. Those have been already pulled. Just like you. When you run out of those cards, you don't have that ability to use those anymore either. So here's our track for our 5 phases, for each run of the joust. And then same thing, 3 broken lances for your AI opponent or an unhorsing. And this would be your unhorsing test to see if you did unhorse based on what you landed. So die rolls for the AI opponent, you have cards that you'll draw, and once we go through 1 run, we will go through another run, you will shuffle these again, and then that 3rd run. Each new run through the list gives you a reshuffle. So it gives you a randomization of what type of shield movement you'll have. Alright, so that's kind of the premise of how it's played, and the components. Again, lance tip token, that's is what tracks where your lance tip is going to make contact when you finally reach your opponent. That's about it. Let's go ahead and we'll play through a joust. Hello everyone, this is Joseph Propati again, and in this part of the video for the Solitaire version of Quick Joust, I'm going to be doing the playthrough. So as I'm doing the playthrough, I'll explain all my moves and all the moves for the AI opponent. I'm just going to go through one run through the list, maybe two, maybe three. We'll see how time goes. But let's go ahead and start. Again, we've got our setup. We've got our first run of shield cards, shield adjustment cards, and we're ready to go. So in Quick Joust, everything happens simultaneously. So if you were playing a two-player, you would both be doing cards or turning over cards and reacting to those cards at the same time. So in this case, with Solitaire, you'll take your move and then immediately move the AI Knight's lance and adjust and do the reaction to it. So first let's go through and we'll do yours. Now, each time you start a run through the list on a Joust, the very first card you're going to pull over or turn over is the shield card. So you flip that over, take a look at which way the shield is adjusting and how it would throw your lance tip off from the center. Because again, you're always trying to keep your lance tip in the center of the shield because that's where you have the highest possibility of unhorsing your opponent and winning the Joust. So we see that on your first start of the run, and remember there's 5, your lance just starts to come down and you're trying to center. So it's usually a larger adjustment. So on our first of 5, you'll see here there's a 3. You have 5 and then a 3 in brackets. Same for the AI opponent. We have our 5. And that 3, and these consecutive numbers, means that's how many hexes it will adjust. So we see that it's center, it's down and to the left, and it adjusts 3 hexes. So remember, we are going against the AI Knight, which is the orange shield. So we go down 1, 2, 3, right? So that's the initial adjustment. As you can take it as your lance is just starting to come down and you're really going to be off a little bit. So you're going to try and correct that. So for the AI Knight, the way you do it is you will roll 2 dice. The white dice is really your biggest concern, but the black dice is in case you roll doubles. And the doubles means you basically drew or turned over the center card, meaning nothing was adjusted. For some reason the shield was right in the same spot as you were keeping your eye on it and zeroing in with your lance. So these dice will only be used, or both dice will be used until you roll doubles. So of the 5 phases, you'll roll for the AI, and you'll roll the 2 dice. When you don't have doubles, don't worry about the black one and just use the white. Now as if we were turning over a card, we have our 3, so we will take, and we would be drawing the closest one, which is a down and to the right. And since it's the same thing, there's 3 hexes, he's going against our shield, and it goes 1, 2, 3. So that's the initial shield adjustment, and this is as if he had turned over that card. Now that card's not there anymore. That's why you're putting the cube on it. So we've got our initial adjustments. Now we have to do our reactions, our lance tip reactions. Again, we'll go first, and this is where you're going to want to use your hard pull cards. You don't want to use your fine pull yet because those are only going to adjust for 1 hex. The hard pull will adjust for 3 hexes. And but it's not an automatic. You're trying to do a hard pull, but you're going to roll to see if you either got 1, 2, or the actual full 3 hexes. And that roll is 1 to 6. If you roll a 1, you're only going to get 1 hex adjustment. If you roll 2 through 5, you'll get 2 hex adjustment. And if you roll a 6, then you'll get the full 3 hex adjustment. So for us, we are trying to get back into the center. Your goal is always get to the center, because if you can get it back to the center, you will get a black cube to help you with your unhorsing. And that I'll show you at the end. That happens at the end of the joust when you make contact, and if your lance hits that red hex, this is when you have a chance to unhorse your opponent. Otherwise, you're just going to either get a point for hitting shield or 3 for breaking your lance. So we know that we want to go up and to the right. So we're going to use this hard pull card. Now remember, there's only one of each of these. So once you use it, it's out. Now, we're gonna roll a dice. We really want a 6. But remember, you're riding a horse. Your lance is bobbing around. You're trying to center. So it's never guaranteed. Whoop, here we go. So we got a 3. So that means we got a 2 hex adjustment. So we will, since we're going in the upright, we will go 1, 2. Now we didn't make it back to the center, so we're not going to get a black cube on that, but you get 5 tries to try and get as many as you can. Now let's do the AI Knights shield adjustment or lance tip correction. So we do the same thing. The AI opponent is trying to get back to the center. Well, you're not going to want to do a fine pull, so we know that the AI will try to do a hard pull up and to the left, which would mean you are going to take this card. Because he would have the same thing. He would have his 6 cards in front of him, and he would just be deciding which card he wants to use. Now, it's a common sense move. You know that you need to go back to the center, so any player, any person would draw that card. You're not going to go off into space or go up. Your goal is to get it back to the center. Now, the AI opponent has to do the same thing. Has to roll to see if he can get 1, 2, or 3. So, 2. That means he got also a 2 hex adjustment, and he didn't get it back to the center. So neither one of us got a black cube. Now that's the first phase of jousting or going through the list. So we will take our hard pull and this first card and just set it off to the side, because we want to be able to use that for the next run. Now we go into the next phase. To start the next phase, we adjust this list die. And again, we're still 3 hexes on our move, but we're not in the center, so things can really go out of whack. But a lot of it depends on what type of card is drawn. So for us, we'll take this next card, and this is actually good for us. So we are on our 3, and we're going up and to the right. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now the nice thing about it is we're only 2 away from the center. That's really good for us. Now for the AI Knight, we will roll the 2 dice, see if we get doubles. 5 and 3, no doubles, but we got another 3. So not as good for the AI opponent. So we put 3. We are going to take the next down and to the right, and that means this can't come up again. So if I rolled another 3 on the next one, I need to roll again because there aren't those cards anymore. So we now know we have to move 3, so it's 1, 2, 3. Now he's got a much harder adjustment. And what's even worse is he doesn't have that hard pull. So he's going to have to use either an up or down to the left. So let's go, we've done our initial reaction, let's go and do our lance tip correction reaction. We want to go back to the center. So we're going to do a hard pull down and to the left. This will give us an option. Now we may roll and get 3 hexes, but we have higher odds of getting 2. So go ahead and put that right on there, and we will roll the black dice. Let's do it again. So we rolled a 2. Nice thing about that is 2 hexes. So now we get an unhorsing cube because we landed back on the center hex. But now the AI opponent, he's starting to have a bad run. So all we can do for him is play either an up or down to the left. So I think what's best is if we go up, we have better odds of coming back down than we do of going down and then having possibly going to the left because we don't have that card anymore. And you got to remember, these cards, they're gone after this, so you don't have any more hard pull cards. So probably the best option is we'll do an up, and remember it's 3, if we roll a 6. So we'll go ahead and roll for him. Now it's a 4, so it's 2 hexes. So we go 1, 2, and we are off. This AI knight is way off. So he's having a bad run, but it could correct. Also, he didn't get it back to the center, so he's not going to get that. And those 2 hard pull cards are used. So now we take these 2 out. Again, put them off to the side. And now we go for the next phase. We're in the 3rd phase. So we move this cube over. Now the correction is only 2 hexes because we are getting farther in the list. We're getting closer to that shield, and we're getting a little better bead on where we need to have that lance tip. So again, for us, we flip over another card. It is a down and to the left. So what we do is we are only adjusting 2 this time. So we have 1, 2. And this guy is really going to hope that he gets a 6 or a 5. So we don't know. We will roll the 2 dice again. And he hopes he doesn't get a 2 or 3 because he will be stuck over on the side. So we've got, 6. So no doubles, so that doesn't affect us, but we got a 6. So this is good for him because now he has a 2 adjustment, 1, 2, and now he can use a hard pull, which he hasn't used, to get right back to the center. So he is right back in the game again. So now we will put a cube on this one. So these 3 cards have been drawn for him, and I've had my 3 cards drawn. Let's go ahead and now do our reactions. Let's see, I can't do a hard pull, right? Because I don't have that one. I could do an up, but it could push me way up here. Right now, I kind of want to just do a fine pull. And I'm trying to get back to the center, so I can do a fine pull left, and that gives me an odds of getting this one or this one. So when you're doing a fine pull, you have your fine pull right and your fine pull left. So I'm going to do a fine pull right. I'm going to draw this top card. Nice. So I drew the up and to the right, which gives me a 1 hex. Didn't get it back to the red, but I am getting closer, and I am in that range of breaking the lance because I'm in yellow. So that's my fine adjustment. Again, card's gone, so I don't have that option to use anymore. So let's do the AI knight. Now the AI knight is trying to get back to the center, so he's going to want to go left and down. So let's see here. I could do a hard pull, which would probably be the best option for him because there's a higher odds of getting a 2, and it would put him right in the center. So we'll go ahead and roll. We're going to do a hard pull, left and down. We'll roll for the AI. Oh, and he gets a 6. So not too bad though. 1, 2, 3. So he's still right where I am. He's in the spot where he can break a lance, but he was way out to the side. So he did a major correction, which was really good. So now we're off. We finished our 3rd phase of this run. We're into the 4th phase. So at the start of each phase, we adjust this list die, and we take these 2 cards, put them off to the side, and now we will start the 4th, which means we will turn this card over. And again, we were only adjusting by 2 hexes. So for us, it's a straight up. We go 1, 2. And for the AI knight, we're going to roll our 2 dice. He hasn't rolled doubles yet. Could. 2 and a 1. So, no doubles, but we have a 1. Now, rolled a 1, so that means he's pulled this card, and we adjust by 2. 1, 2. So now we're going to do our lance tip reaction, and I'm not too far away from the center. Now I could do, I still have my hard pull, or I can use one of my fine pulls and get me here, but I could also push me up 1. So if I do a hard pull, it could bring me all the way here, which is not bad, but I have higher odds again of rolling a 2. So I think I'll do my hard pull, and I will roll 1. Not bad. So that gives me 1 hex adjustment. So I'm right above the center. That's okay. I'm still good. I'm in the broken lance stage. Now for the AI Knight, we are close. We have a hard pull, just like I did, right and down, which now the options are, what would be the best for him? Does he try for getting here, or does he try for a right fine pull, which could put him here or here? So this is where you kind of have to, as controlling the AI opponent, trying to make the best move for him. Or if you want to just complete random, you can say, I'll do a 1 through 3 that he does a fine right pull, or 5, 6, 7, or 4, 5, 6, and he does a hard. But if you think of it logically, if he does a hard pull, there are good odds of rolling a 1 or 2 through 5, and keeps him in the yellow. Harder that he would get a 6. If he rolls a fine pull, his only options are, he could do down, right? This fine pull down, which could bring him here, or keep him in the same spot by rolling the center, or he could do a fine right pull, which could put him here or here, right? Which could put him away. So actually, the best in this situation is, I feel, the right, because there's better odds, or the hard pull, because there's better odds of landing in the shield broken lance zone. So we're going to go ahead and do a hard pull right and down. Well, I hit the box. And we got a 4. So that's a 2, so 1, 2. So he is in the broken lance stage, but still no unhorsing cube. So, or I should say extra unhorsing cube. So right now we're on our last phase of the joust. We are right before contact. So we'll get rid of these 2 cards. We will adjust our list. And now, since we are getting so close, we have a better adjustment, and we have a better bead on how the shield's moving. So there's only 1 hex adjustment to this. And now we have my card. So we have a down and to the right, and it's 1 hex. So that brings me here, which I have really good odds of trying to get back to the center. For the AI Knight, we're going to roll again 2. Oh, and then we got doubles. So now, since we got doubles, we won't be using for him anymore, but we're on the last one anyways, so that's okay. But doubles means we actually pulled the center card. It means no adjustment. There's no 1 adjustment, because we turned over dead center. But even though there's a dead center card and the shield didn't move, you still need to make a reaction, a lance tip reaction. So I'll do mine first. I'm obviously not going to do a hard pull because I just need to do a 1. My best options are either left, a fine pull left, or a down, because a down can either 1 down or it can give you center. I want to try and get in the center. So the best option for that is a fine pull left. So I'm going to take the risk, draw my card, and hope that I get a down to the left. And no. But it's okay. I'm in the yellow, right? I'm going to finish this with at least a broken lance, which is not bad. So I'm in the yellow. And now we do the last before contact for the AI Knight. Now, he, again, is in the same boat. He wants to get in the red, and you do not want to get out of the yellow because you have an unbroken. Right now, he's in the yellow. He has an unbroken lance possibility. So his is, do I risk it and do a fine left pull based on a roll? And this would get him either in the yellow or the unhorse, which he can't really lose. It's great for him. Or would I do a down and keep in the center? Now, obviously, logic is you're not going to get kicked out of the shield, the unbroken zone or broken lance zone. So why not give yourself the higher odds of getting an unhorsing? Because if I can get it back to the red, now I have a good chance to try and unhorse. So this AI Knight's going to do a fine pull to the left. And you roll, just like as if you were drawing a card. So this really is a chance for a good possibility of unhorsing me on the first run. So we roll, got a 4. Nice. So now the AI Knight finished, hit me dead center. So I hit, as we went through this run, we finished the first run and made contact. So first run for me is I broke a lance. So I get a broken lance. I put it here. Now he is going to get a broken lance because he's within the center of the shield. So basically these are all yellow except the red one is just used for unhorsing. So again, the AI Knight also gets a broken lance. So we have those, but now the AI Knight has a chance to unhorse me. Now the thing with the black cubes, every time you're going through these 5 phases, you have a chance to get it back to the center. And every time that happens, you would get a black cube. And it's an extra black cube. So when you run for an unhorsing, the way the process works is you take a cube, right? And you place it on any one of these. For the AI Knight, you have to roll to see where he's going to place it. So you would roll the dice, you get a 2, that means the AI Knight decided to put it right here. And now what you'd have to do next is you would roll again. If you rolled that 2 again, I'm unhorsed, or the opponent is unhorsed, which is me. Now, every time you get a chance to go to the center and you get an extra cube, you get to add these. So if, let's say you hit the center 3 times, right? And you had these 3 cubes. You get to place these down. If it was the AI opponent, you would roll 3 times, and let's say they ended up being here. Now, because that knight was so good at reacting with his lance tip and getting it back to the center, he has a much higher odds of getting that unhorsing. And now when you roll d6, if you roll a 2, 3, or 5, it's unhorsed. You've unhorsed your opponent. So these cubes, the more you get, the better the chance. Now you can't get more than 5. If you don't roll any, like if you never made it to the center, but you got there like this guy, you do get 1. You start off with 1. But you're never going to get more than 6. So like if I somehow got to the center, mine would be right there, and I'd also have the one you always get to use, so I'd have 2. So it's 5 total, but you get 1 normally, and then all your extras are added to it. But since there's only 5, there is a slight chance that you may miss. It's not an automatic unhorsing. So you can get it back in the center every single time, get all 5, but you still, even though you have 5 numbers covered, you still have 1 chance that you may not unhorse. So that's how these are used. But now in the case of the AI player, he rolled a 2, so you place it there. Again, if I had 2 of them, I'd roll another one, and it would be placed on there. Then you would roll your d6. If he had rolled a 2 again, I would be unhorsed. And then he would win the joust. It would be over. But since he didn't horse me, we go ahead and reset everything back the way it was, and now we go through another run. And you would do that 3 times. And at the end of the 3rd run, if someone was unhorsed, they're going to win the match. If both players were unhorsed at the same time, It's a tiebreaker, and the way you win that is who has the most points at the point where both players want a horse. If you had the same number of points, then it would be who had the most broken lances. So in this case, we go through a second run. We see if there's a broken lance or if it unhorses. Then we go through it again. We do a third time. That final one, if someone is on horse, great, that player's going to win. Otherwise, the winner of the joust is the one with the most points. So that is Quick Joust. This is the Solitaire version, and I hope that this is what explained the game. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and please leave them in the comments section. I'll go through and I'll be talking about the 2-player version soon.